Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing well. So we were doing part 2 of question 2, and it was the existence of God. So now we got into the other points of the objections. Now we're gonna get into what Aquinas said in response to them. And it is very potent and effective. So let's get into it. Make sure we get over here. Okay. Because sometimes it's a little weird organized. So, reply to objection 1. To know that God exists in general and confused way is implanted in us by nature, inasmuch as God is man's beatitude. For man naturally desires happiness, and what is naturally desired by man must be naturally known to him. So that's interesting, right? What is naturally desired is naturally known. This, however, is to not know absolutely that God exists, just as to know that someone is approaching is not the same as to know that Peter is approaching. Interesting, right? So you may know someone's coming, but you don't know who is coming, right? Yeah, it's very clever. Even though it is Peter who is approaching. For many there are who imagine that man's perfect good, which is happiness, consists in riches, and others in pleasure, and others in something else. So how you measure happiness and such. Reply objection 2. Perhaps not everyone who hears this word God understands it to signify something than which nothing greater can be thought. So remember how in the objection was like, well, God is the highest conception that we can think of. So here he points out maybe there might be people who don't understand the significance and the weight of the word God, seeing that some have believed God to be a body. Yet granted that everyone understands that by this word God is signified something than which nothing greater can be thought. Nevertheless, it does not therefore follow that he understands that the word signifies exists actually, but only that it exists mentally. Interesting. So, to perceive and then to actually be in reality. So, even if you understand the word God, it might therefore, he argues, not have you see, hey, this is what it's going to be in your life. You're not just going to automatically accept it. And then I guess you could also point out that someone would say, once you understand the concept of God, then that's where people get into the attributes and power and even gender or something weird. So he has a point. Nor can it be argued that it actually exists. So, interesting. Unless it be admitted that there actually exists something than which nothing greater can be thought. And this is precisely not admitted by those who hold that God does not exist. Interesting. Reply objection 3. The existence of truth in general is self-evident, but the existence of primal truth is not self-evident to us. Now this is quite interesting, right? Primal truth and then truth itself being self-evident. Because truth, I think, is self-evident, and God is ultimate truth, so therefore he argued that if there's self-evident truths, well, God is self-evident. But the primal truth, let's see. Effect not proportionate to it seems that the existence of God cannot be demonstrated. Interesting. So, to us, that one got a little weird, cut it off right there. Let's see. On the contrary, the apostle says, the invisible things of him are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. So here you would see like things that are made are signs of God, even though you clearly don't see it, literally. But this would not be unless the existence of God could be demonstrated through the things that are made. So the existence of God being demonstrated through things that are made versus, essence, attributes, glorifications. For the first thing we must know of anything is whether it exists. I answer that demonstration can be made in 2 ways. One is through the cause and called a priori, and this is to argue from what is prior absolutely. So a priori in philosophy is before sense experience, right? So demonstrating something through before sense experience. How did you come to know something before your senses gave it to you? Which is kind of how truth is in your innate sense of truth and morality embedded in yourself. The other is through the effect. So you either have the a posteriori, which is after sense experience, or a priori, before sense experience. So very interesting to examine that. And it is called a demonstration of a posteriori. This is to argue from what is priorly relatively known to us, when an effect is better known to us than its cause. So think about that. An effect being known first before its cause. So did you know the cause? Did you know the effects? This is a very interesting way to think about it. From the effect was proceeded to the knowledge of the cause. And from every effect, the existence of its proper cause can be demonstrated. So from every effect, you can examine the existence of its cause, and that will help you demonstrate it. So long as its effects are better known to us. Yeah, so you gotta find the effects, essentially. Because since every effect depends upon its cause, if the effect exists, the cause must pre-exist. Aha, you see that? So if the effect exists, then the cause pre-existed the first cause, which Aquinas is very famous for his first cause analysis. Hence, the existence of God, insofar as it is not self-evident to us, can be demonstrated from those of his effects which are known to us. So, essentially arguing that there's things that can be demonstrated from the effects of God that are known to us. So we have to, I guess he'll go in later and tell us what can be demonstrated. That'll be the second article, whether it can be demonstrated that God exists. So he's very structured in how he brought us to the whole conclusion. Cause and effect, and how that relates to existence, and then our primal truth, self-evident. He's really systematically laid it out for us, and I found that very helpful. So some little cute nuggets for you, and just to reiterate, we'll go back for a second. Just remember that there was self-evident in itself, but not to us, and self-evident in itself and to us, and the predicate included in the essence, right? Knowledge of God naturally implanted in all, being and non-being, right? So keep those in mind.